Nigeria is faced with a myriad of challenges ranging from political, economic, and security challenges. The primary responsibility of government is to ensure security and welfare of its citizens. These include protecting them from internal and external threats, maintaining order, and providing essential services that contribute to their well-being.
The state of insecurity in the country has become worrisome and has called for concern, especially with the killings in Benue and other parts of the country. The president has gone to Benue State and he has ordered security agencies to fish out perpetrators of this crime.
This is Third Eye Africa TV and you are watching Crime Watch. And this is a channel where we focus on crime prevention, investigation, and community safety. On Crime Watch, we bring in security experts, to discuss security challenges as well with a view to profile solutions to the challenges we have in the country. My name is Charles Agedu.
My name is Margaret Adewale. Thank you for joining us.
All right, we'll take a short break, and when we come back, we'll be introducing our guest in the studio to you and delve straight into the topic of our discussion today. Please don't go away. Stay tuned.
We're talking about South and the North. You talk about middle belt. Currently in Nigeria, we don't have middle belt. North Central is what we have.
Okay.
And they are included in the North. If the perception is because Nigeria is standing on a tripod, you have Igbo, Hausa, Yoruba, they are the owners of Nigeria. That is a very wrong perception. These are major tribes in Nigeria. Simple.
Yeah.
Nigeria is owned by every single citizen of this country.
If you go to civilized nations, they possibly have, stratified their political parties such that those who play at the national level are there. And at the local level, you have other minor political parties playing there. And it gives sense of belonging to every citizen to be able to contest.
And in fact, once you have joined APC, all your sins are forgiven.
It's okay. It's okay. Up your mind. It's okay.
This is Third Eye Africa TV, exposing crime, savaging the nation.
Welcome back from that break. If you are just joining us, this is Crime Watch on Third Eye African TV. And today on the show, we are going to be looking at the current state of insecurity in Nigeria, and with a special focus on the recent killings in Benue and other parts of the country. And with us in the studio, we have Dr. James Van de Vaar. He is a retired Chief Superintendent of Police, CSP, and also a security expert. So he will be with us in the next couple of minutes to, evaluate and assess the current state of security challenges in the country, and perhaps profile solutions as to how we can move our nation forward. You are welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, thank you, Margaret.
All right. Good to have you, sir. Could you please give us your own first-hand assessment of the state of insecurity in Nigeria today?
Well, if you look at the challenges we are facing, my assessment is that the country is at war itself. And the insecurity has taken over the lives and social beings of our people. It has ravaged communities and homes and villages. And today, there's no social activity going on where people can sleep with their eyes closed in most parts of the country. Relatively, very few states are free from the carnage we are talking about, but most states today are no longer safe. And most highways are not safe. Most communities are not safe. Religious places are not safe. So it is difficult to say that we are having a safe nation where you can move freely, because you wouldn't know when they can spring up on the road and stop you or come to your houses or your villages and destroy. So assessment is that the nation is at war itself. And those who are causing this are people we believe are Nigerians. And with a few elements of those who may come from outside to take advantage of what we are doing today, what we are going through today. So Nigerians are fighting Nigerians. And the reason is you can't define exactly what they want or why they are doing this, except what you have in the northeast or northwest, where Boko Haram is an ideological force that is telling you exactly what they want and why they are doing it. But when you come down to the middle belt, nobody's giving you a statement. You can only presume that it is because of the competition for space for land, ungoverned spaces for the animals, and then the ones for farmers. And that is what is causing that. But beyond that, then you can be looking at, when we talk about Nigeria is having issues of either farmer crisis, you will be imagining where the crisis is coming from, because destruction is always on one side, not the other side. The farmers are always killed, not those who are rearing animals. So there's no crisis at all. But then there's a genocidal angle to it. You may feel that, yes, people just want to eliminate certain tribes, not to exist or take over whatever belongs to them in their ancestral lives. So when you look at the permutations, we discover that we are fighting a war within ourselves that has no definition and there's no direction. And the government itself is also blind to what is going on. So our assessment of the insecurity is very pervasive, it's very bad. It's not too good at all.
So, sir, with what you've said so far, do you imply that the government has not done enough, or that this present administration is currently doing enough or has not done enough to tackle insecurity in the country?
Yes, if you comparatively look at what happened during the Buhari era, before Tinubu came on board, you would agree that during Buhari it was much. Under Tinubu now, initially it was a bit low, but after 1 year, they discovered that the rhetorics have changed. It was no longer pushy as we thought it came in to do. So this has escalated. It has almost gone to the level it was under Buhari administration. So the government has not done enough, because if you compare the figures of those who are killed within these 2 years to those who were killed in the 2 years of Buhari's initial regime, you will see that the figures now are higher than what was then. And then when you also look at people who are displaced, the LDP camps that we had under Buhari, they have increased now. They are no longer that number that you know before. So if the LDPs are increasing, the camps are increasing, it's a testimony that the insecurity is worsening. So comparatively, I would say government is not doing enough. It's not doing enough because it's not supervising those who are supposed to be the architecture of security management in the country. You have the police, you have the army, you have DSS, you have NIA that are supposed to be doing this to an extent civil defense. But I have never seen any of this government sanction any of the heads of these agencies for not doing enough. And if they are not sanctioned, to them they may agree that they are doing a good job. And that's why the supervisor is not sanctioning them. But to those who are the consumers of the security challenges they are facing today, they are going through the worst stages of their lives. So, but nobody is sanctioning the service chiefs, nobody is sanctioning the head of the police, nobody is questioning the... This is the first time that the president questioned service chiefs in the public. Why there were no arrests when this killing happened in Benue. It's the first time ever.
Sir, but with the relocation of the Chief of Defense Staff and also the IGP, isn't that doing enough?
It's not doing enough because they are not going into the trenches to fight these things. Because it's just a window dressing kind of arrangement for Nigerians. You are a chief of staff, you are also Inspector General of Police, you are Director DG and DSS. You are not supposed to mobilize yourself to the theater of war before action could be taken. You can give command from wherever you are. But once people know your body language to get result, they will sit up and do what is supposed to be done. Why do you have a zonal AIG in Makurdi? Why do you have a commissioner of police in Makurdi? And why do you have the state director of DSS in Makurdi? You only need to tell them that you want this thing done within so number of days, and they will give you results. When you are there, you are just going to hold meetings and even slow down the operational abilities of these people, because they want to ensure that waiting for you to give them directives. You are going to hold meetings with the state governor and other government appointees before you can come back and hold meetings with them. And by then you are delaying the course of action that would have been implemented on the fields where these people would have been deployed to. So for me, relocation doesn't give any result. It has happened before. It has happened today. I knew when they say all service chiefs moved to Borno, they were not able to stop Boko Haram attacking most of the local governments. And today you have them moving to Makodi. You will still have killings going on. So it is not an idea of people moving to particular locations with big ranks. It should be the position of your own character, your own mindset, and your body language of what you want your followers to obey. If we give definite instructions, it must be implemented. And where it is not there should be sanctions on those who didn't do it. So moving there doesn't pay anything.
Yes, sir, I want to really take you on that because we've really had this issue of relocation, bring perpetrators to book, get people arrested, prosecute people.
Yeah.
All those comments are not okay. So, what do you really think government can do to really address the root? Because there are primary causes, there are secondary causes. The root causes of this crisis, particularly in Benue State and other parts of the country. Do you think there is something you think government can do to really, because there's a saying that when you trim branches of trees, you have not killed that tree, but you have tackled it from the root. What do you think is the one? I know there's no one magic wand solution to the problem, but how do you think the government can begin to tackle these challenges from the root causes?
Well, if you look at the insecurity in Nigeria, it's dynamic. Dynamic in the nature that what is in the north, east, and northwest is different from what you have in the north central. You have an ideological fight going on in the northeast and northwest, where certain people feel Western education is a taboo, and where they still go ahead to use Western-made technologies to now challenge the system. They use the handsets, they use guns that are made by Western education. They also use clothes to dress, use vehicles that are made by Western education, the knowledge that acquired from there. So the propaganda they bring is absolutely useless. It's useless. Now, it's an ideological thing. When you come to the North Central, it is the quest for superiority, I'll put it that way, where the headers feel that they should take over the grazing areas that are swampy, because the North Central has very good grazing lands. They feel they can migrate, take over these places, and then unseat the farmers. And in doing this, they also capture villages so that it can become permanent migration. It's not an issue of just coming to graze and go back. Now, they also invade farms. So in course of invading farms, you have your own produce, which is your animals, and these ones have their produce, which are the crops. And when you now destroy what one has, you are creating problems. So what happens in the North Central essentially is the fight where the unguided animals are sent into people's farms deliberately to graze on. And then when there's a reaction, they come in to kill and then take over some lands. Now, when you go to the southeast, the issue there is issue of people trying to feel they no longer want to be part of Nigeria. So it's a civil war that they're trying to create. And when they do this, they still destabilize their people more. And then occasionally you see those who are traveling within those areas are attacked. But those who bear the blunt of what goes on in the southeast are the Igbos themselves. Now, government there is telling you you are still part of Nigeria. Because once you declare secession ideas, it's going to be a serious thing that government will never want to take. If you go to the South Niger Delta, the insecurity there is all about resource control. To an extent, Yar'Adua was able to allow this thing to come to bear because he brought in a very mature solution that has sustained the Niger Delta issues till today. But the Southwest has the same challenges that the North has. Their forests are ungoverned, and then kidnapping has become something that people use the forest to make a lot of money. So until you look at the dynamics of this, where the economic kidnapping in the Southwest has taken toll on people now, and then the North Central and the Northeast and Northwest, the issues are diverse. So the solution to this, one, is that the Niger Delta has been solved to an extent, and then if we apply the same wisdom in tackling this holistically in North Central, we are going to have a solution based on what the president said when he came to Benue yesterday. He has not directed that all former governors must come together, hold a meeting and meet him, so that they should be able to now look at a blueprint of how they can solve these problems. The creation of the Ministry of Livestock was supposed to come on board to now alleviate most of these crises. But when they came, they started well, but to an extent, yes, that's no longer been moving the way it should be, which is typical of the civil service life in Nigeria. Now, anything that goes to civil service, by the time you know, corruption sets in. A lot of money will come in there, but you will not see one single ranch established anywhere. Because their first state visit was in Benue, and we expected that by now, they would have worked out the modalities within Benue to now see where they can have a big ranch that can take in all these animals. The solution in Benue, typically, one is that prior to this attack that killed a lot of people, there was a press release by Mietiala that over 1,000 cattle were roasted in Benue. Now, I knew that was a pointer to what will happen next, and that the Fulani man was killed. And that happened 5 days after that press statement. Nobody even looked at what that man was saying. Now, but from the Gravipian, I have not confirmed it well yet. There was a meeting between Mietiala and the government of Benue State where about 3 billion was paid as compensation to the lost animals. That is from the Gravipian. I'm not sure of the source of the information. Now, if that is true, the question would have been, if you are paying the Fulanis for the cattle that you say are roasted, how do you know the number of cows that are in Benue? The solution to this would be for every state to document animals that are entering to graze in the state, so that you know at every given point in time, this is the number of animals you have within you, this is their location, these are those who brought them in. Once we had that statistics, it will not give you an age that, okay, you are going to call wherever they are grazing. There's a traditional ruler. Let all grazers, let all people who are rearing animals report to the chief of that place and tell them where they are going to stay, where they will be grazing, so that by the time they are done with their grazing, they should leave the place. Once that is done, it is good that they will give you lands that is far from where we are farming. And when that is done, that's a remedial approach that we can solve this. The second one is that those who are resident in Benue, people know them. There are traditional Fulanis that I grew up to meet, even in our backyard. Those ones are still there. They are integrated into the normal society that we live in Benue. So if you have such Fulanis, they are part of you. They are there for whatever they are doing, there will be no problem between them. But those who are visiting should graze and live. So once you have this identification, you are going to solve a lot of these crises that we're having. So once there's a challenge of this nature, you will definitely know that these were those who were in this place. So how come Fulanis came in here to kill and you cannot tell? Because they must have where they will come and settle before they can attack. Absolutely. And then retreat. Now this is not done. Then on the part of the police, from no, I can't define exactly where we lost it, that the police looks up to the army to not take over the internal security of this country. That has become something that I keep asking, when can the police wake up from what they are doing? Because these are the situations that we are supposed to now save our image as police officers and men. But the Inspector General of Police has decided not to do this because he was the ADC to the present president. He was the CSO in Government House and then Commissioner of Police in Lagos. Now he has experience of working under Tinubu right from the time he was a junior officer. So I expected him to have known the directional value of what the president will always want to make him happy. So why not step out to save the name of the president in ensuring that you not live above board and take on this fight to the trenches where these things are going on. But every day you see the police are only on the road. You don't see them going inside the bushes. Where these killings took place in Yerewata, from Kaduroko to Yerewata is under 1 kilometer. Then from Yerewata to Toll Gate of Makodi, okay, it's a bit far. But between Kaduroko to Yerewata, you have 17 roadblocks. That is less than 1 kilometer. Now, these attacks went on for like 2 hours. So I don't know why people who are on the roadblocks were unable to mobilize to this particular place. There's an army unit in front of Yerewata, and there's a police post in front, and then another police deployment is there. Now, what do? You have 3 roadblocks, about 5 roadblocks within a space of 100 meters in that Yerewata. Now, if you have this number of security agencies that are there, and this has happened, and no single arrest is made, then something has happened. Because if I were the Inspector General of Police, it is to arrest the policemen who were there to investigate and find out why they were unable to make one single arrest or kill one person that you can recover. Now, the same thing with the military. Because if you have about 30 men who are armed within a space of 100 meters, extorting money on the road, and they can't now prevent the same community they are habiting in to eat, to stay with them, because most of them have been there for like 6 months now. So they are part of that community. So I can't see any excuse why nobody has been called to question. Nobody has been arrested within the services to explain why that carnage went on unchallenged. It's something unheard of. And then, if that was not a deliberate thing, why was no single police or army institution there attacked? Why were they not attacked? Because this thing I'm telling you, the water ends by the boundary of a road, and then the other side of the road is where you had a roadblock. And they take over the two lanes that run through and then out of your water. So something is wrong with our architecture, unless security agencies too feel that they are insulted by this, because it's a big insult for you to be in uniform. You are committed to preventing lives and properties as your outer office, and then you allow these killings to go on unchallenged. And then you can be proud to wear the national colors or the national uniform. It's an insult to wear the badges and stand somewhere and call yourself you are a commanding officer of a troop when you can't command what you're supposed to be commanding. So it's appalling. So solution to this is beyond military and police action. Political will should come in. Now, we go back to investigations. Now, Mietiala has never said a single word when this thing happened. The same thing with the leadership of the Muslims in the north. But if you kill the Fulanis, maybe 10 of them in Benue, you would have seen a lot of attacks, a lot of comments, a lot of calls coming in from the north that this heavens will fall, this will happen. But today you are talking of over 200 people that died, and over 450 people were killed within the space of 5 days in Benue. And nobody still talked about it from the north here. And tomorrow we will sit down and be saying, we are one Nigeria, we are one north, we are one this. So it is high time we should be able to look at the political architecture of the country also, and then see how we should be able to define our oneness, define our relationship with whoever we say is our brother. So that if it is for political will, let us negotiate that this is what we can do to get this. And secondly, National Assembly is quiet because the president took an oath of office that is not going to be biased, that is going to defend the constitution of the country, that is also going to be fair and firm, and then he's not going to be someone that, okay, now the oath of office is there. But when you look at what happens in the country right from the time of political will, I think Obasanjo has exhibited that sense of firmness. But apart from him, I have not seen a president that has been able to defend his oath of office. Because if you look at the Boko Haram, a lot of people have been arrested according to government. The President Minister for Justice said that they were prosecuting sponsors of Boko Haram. And they refused to disclose the names of those who they were prosecuting and which court they were prosecuting, whether the prosecution has ended or not. Now, when a nation is afraid of its own citizens, to mention individual names of those who are involved in heinous crimes of that nature, for the public to know, then you are celebrating criminals more than those who are contributing positively to the nation. Absolutely. Until you are able to come out and tell the whole nation that we arrested ABCD for doing ABCD against the nation, then people will be afraid. But in the absence of that, you are encouraging criminality to thrive over those who are doing justice in this country. So government should also come out to say that defending that mandate that is given to them. National Assembly should be able to check the presidency and understand that they are also an independent arm of government. Once these things are not done, then we will keep calling them a rubber stamp to National Assembly.
I'm still going to take you back to the issue of police. So after the killings in Benue State, we saw that youth came out en masse to protest the killings, and the reaction from the police was it easy? You can say not welcoming. Do you think what the police did in Benue State was the right thing?
No, it was not the right thing. One, that protest was very peaceful, very, very peaceful. They were in one place. They were holding green leaves to now demonstrate that anger that was in them. It was also part of that demonstration that made federal government to sit up. It was just not because of reports of the killings. It was that demonstration that made government to sit up. And I think I would thank a very dark man. His appearance in Makodi also saved a lot of issues. Now, beyond that, Why would the police use tear gas to disperse people? If you have this tear gas, why not go and tear gas the Fulanis and pursue them there? Because the distance from Makodi to Yelewode is about 20-something kilometers. So if in the early hours of the morning and the police comes in there and they want to comb the bushes, they would have been able to get to where these things came from and then act. The police didn't come there to do any other thing. They only come after a post-mortem is done. When people are killed, people are crying, then you will just come in there and then look at the dead bodies and go back and say, okay, we'll take action. I read this morning that the Commissioner of Police in Makodi said they have arrested some Fulanis with AK-47. But that is a fallacy because his boss was instructed to commit himself in ensuring that arrests were made. And by the mornings of this, he's saying that he has arrested some Fulanis on AK-47. Now, where was this arrest made? How many of them did you arrest? Did they confess they did the killings in Kaduro in Yerewata? Until these things are done, from Makodi to Naka is about 19 kilometers. The road has been closed because the Fulanis took over this road. So any other thing that's linking Naka now, you have to go through 3 local governments to get to Naka. For a journey of 19 kilometers will take you like 3 hours long to get to where you're supposed to go to. Now, the Commissioner of Police has never arrested a single person there. But because the president was in Makodi and humiliatively asked the IG to stand up, and the IG stood up and he asked him, why are there no arrests? That's a humiliating question. If I were the president, I would have fired all of them there. There was no basis for them staying there and be talking to them in that manner. And then it is also a dangerous momentum in Nigeria that everywhere a president is going, all the service chiefs will be there, Senate president will be there, the speaker will be there. These are not good omens for a nation of Nigeria, where the architecture of government will be in one place. If anybody wants to strike Nigeria and gets to that point, finish Nigeria. So why would you want service chiefs to move with the president? The president has brigades of guard. You have layers of security on the road that are supposed to now ensure that the man passes very well. But here in Nigeria, everywhere, if the president is coming from Europe, everybody will be at the airport. The president is going to America, everybody will be at the airport. It shouldn't be like that because we waste a lot of time in doing ceremonial things instead of planning how to implement security architecture that will save the nation. Until we stop these political ceremonies, we call them service chiefs, we may not have any different from what we are saying today, even in the next 10 years.
All right. Okay, I think at this point, we'll just match a break there and take a breather. We still have in the studio our guest who is helping us to take a look at the state of insecurity in the country in the person of our security expert that is here, a retired CSP of retired chief superintendent of police, who is a security expert, trying to give us perhaps way forward to tackling the trending insecurity that has become like a norm in some parts of the northeast, the northwest, north central, in fact the entire country. If you were following us from the beginning, you hear where he took us around the country to talk about how the trend and the dynamics of the insecurity across the country from the sixth geopolitical zone of the country. So this is not a topic that we can actually exhaust in one episode, but we'll just take a breather. We'll come back and focus on some other questions in the program. Stay with us, don't go away.
We're talking about South and the North. You talk about middle belt. Currently in Nigeria, we don't have middle belt. North Central is what we have.
Okay.
And they are included in the North. If the perception is because Nigeria is standing on a tripod, you have Igbo, Hausa, Yoruba, they are the owners of Nigeria. That is a very wrong perception. These are major tribes in Nigeria. Simple.
Yeah.
Nigeria is owned by every single citizen of this country.
If you go to civilized nations, they possibly have, stratified their political parties such that those who play at the national level are there. And at the local level, you have other minor political parties playing there. And it gives sense of belonging to every citizen to be able to contest.
And in fact, once you have joined APC, all your sins are forgiven.
It's okay. It's okay. Off your mic. It's okay.
This is Third Eye Africa TV, exposing crime, savaging the nation.
Welcome back. This is Crime Watch on Third Eye Africa TV, a program we bring in experts to extract the security challenges in the country and perhaps profile solution to solving the problem. We still have with us in the studio CSP James Van der Van, who is the Chief Superintendent of Police retired and a security expert. And if you have just joined us, you have missed a bit of it, but you have not missed much, because he has a lot of experience to share with us in the program on the program today. And sir, we want to thank you for your time and for joining us on the program again.
Thank you.
Let us, look at it from this other perspective of state police. Do you subscribe to the issue of state police?
Well, in two angles. I am not an apostle of state police because if you look at the way politicians behave, putting police under their care will derail more having them instead of doing what they're supposed to be doing. But if we are matured, state police is a very good thing. It's a noble idea to sustain insecurity of this nature in all the states. But tribalism is still one of the key things that divide Nigeria and religion. When you have police, assuming you have police in Benue that are Benue police, and then you have the Nasarawa police, and an issue like this happens, and Benue police are pursuing this people into Nasarawa state, obviously where they came from, you will discover that there will be a lot of issues. The national police will never see Benue police as being complementary in what they're trying to do. So you will discover that there will be war that will break out between the two states. So for me, the state police is necessary but not needed for now.
Okay, the issue of the president has also asked that there should be a joint between Nasarawa and Benue, is calling for security summit. What do you think this is pointing at?
Yes, is the briefing he has taken, because from time, people who are attacking Benue, most of them come from Nasarawa state, from time, and it's not a hidden fact that they are there. The people in Benue have complained this over and over and over. We expected the governor of Nasarawa to sit up and do what he could do, but unfortunately he has not been able to give that complementary support needed to safeguard people from Benue, and even those who are with him in the state there. If you are having a summit, it also boils down to the reality on ground. Will you get positive result after the summit, or is it just going to be a paperwork? Because Nigeria, when we hold these summits, and then we finish, we do a paper, and then white paper, and then present to government. Now, it stops at that. So other people can go behind and tell you that don't implement this because it's not going to go down well with certain people within the country. So it goes back to what I was telling you, we're afraid of individuals, not the system. And once we're afraid of individuals and not the system, then the system will malfunction at every given point in time, because people will give you wrong instructions to obey. And politicians are always looking at winning elections. So whatever situation they are in, they don't want to overbeat it so that they will not have the love of the people falling apart. So for me, the summit is fine. It may bring together the two governors and then some elders within the two states to sit down and really talk holistically and lovely among themselves and see how they can bring out the best relationship between the two states. But if that is not done, then we are still doomed. The issue of a relationship between governors, at times you'll be wondering, the national state governor is APC, the one in Benue is APC. And then if two of them are from the same party, the question has been, why can't they love themselves and then synergize and work together to now produce the best of service for the people to know that APC is a good party and then it's giving them quality service. Now, that is not there. Now, what is the relationship between the traditional rulers in Nasarawa and those of Benue? You hardly can see them meeting. So when you don't have people meeting who are neighbors, I suggested something sometimes to the former governor of Benue that why can't you develop an international hub market within the three axes, Nasarawa, Taraba, and Benue? To an extent, you can bring a plateau in. Create one location and have a market instead of people traveling to Lagos with the yams, with the oranges, with the mangoes, with all fruits. People should be coming to buy at that point so that you take out the risk of people traveling this far and wide. and then the wastages they go through. Now, if that is done, that would have been the first thing that would bring the two of them economically together. But you see that in Nigeria, no governor wants to now call another governor to come together, and then they have an economic blueprint that can benefit their states. Everybody says, I'm a governor of my state, so I'm supposed to do everything independently. And that is why that synergy in most cases is not working. And I'm sure that even when we hold these meetings with the governor of Nassau State, nothing positive will come out of it.
Okay, so do you think, looking at the system of government we run at national level, if some people are advocating for regional, system, do you think that would have addressed this issue of having problems with government coming together to have this synergy?
We had a regional government before, and it was the regional government that resulted into the civil war. And today, if you are still going back to regionalism, it's still going to be the same thing. Because if you are looking at bringing North Central as a region together, now, issue of religion will still come to bear. We are so much into that. Unless we are able to deal with that as an insignificant factor or survivor, then we can be talking about living together. But once religion still becomes paramount on the minds of people who feel their own religion is superior to others, then you will still have these issues. And then the population then was smaller than what we have today. We were less than 20 million people in Nigeria, I think so, when we were practicing regional government. And today, we are talking of close to 200 million or over 200 million. Now, when you put, say, 9 states in the North Central together to become one region, now the question is, how will you now share the powers within the state that each of the religion will not complain? We have just moved from issue of having a Christian-Muslim ticket to issue of having a Muslim-Muslim ticket. And people felt that was their own creation. And that creation to them was to now lodge on other religious bodies here that they are superior to you and they have taken over the leadership of this country. In this generation, instead of thinking ICT, we are still preaching the superiority of religion to our own children, to our own youth. We are still practicing the crude means of trying to now set up children against other people to see them as infidels, people who are not supposed to live because they are not part of a particular religion. But the question is, did God give you that wisdom to do it? No. God created you, had the same features like any other person. So until our dynamics of thoughts are altered to look at what life should be in the real sense of it, that you are a human being, not because of religion. Let us relate because we are humans. That is when we can be talking of sitting down to divide the country the way we should for the purpose of convenience of leadership. But for now, there's no way regionalism can work in Nigeria.
So, sir, I want us to talk about the issue of banditry. When we talk about insecurity, it covers areas like banditry, terrorism, kidnapping, and all that. So, recently, a bandit leader is Ado Alero. During the peace meeting with the government in Castina, he made a statement. He said for there to be peace in the country, that the country should stop calling his group
terrorists.
Yes. So it brings me to this question of, is it right to negotiate with bandits?
Yes, it is right to negotiate with bandits if you can get peace and true peace. But it is wrong to negotiate with bandits if they can be dictating to you, because as a terrorist or a bandit leader, you know that you have caused a lot of pains in the minds of people, and you still have the mind, but you don't have the guts to tell a nation that you don't want a particular name ascribed to you. But that is the name that is known by law, that describes an attitude of someone who behaves the way you do. So you shouldn't have that kind of tendency to do that, to dictate to government that this is what I want, that there should be peace. If I were the commissioner of police there, I would have raised you there and then. Now, but when you allow this boy to come to town and talk and go back, then they can still have the impunity to do worse. Yesterday was the same killing in Katsina that took about 47 people in one local Kankara local government. And then you are still negotiating with bandits and they are telling you that don't call me which name. So which name would they not call you that you can stop killing people? Because in Katsina is a traditional Fulani state that is very close to Niger. Now, when this banditry started, the former governor of Benue State, Samuel Otom, was always shouting. But at the point, he became the most hated governor in the north because they feel he was saying the wrong thing. But today, every state in the north has been consumed by the same thing Otom was shouting. I had expected that the former governors would now come today and tell Otom that we never knew we were blind, but he was seeing faster than us. Nobody has come to tell him that they were solid, they were apologetic. They called him names. Even the presidency called him names. Now, if they had been able to wake up that time and work on the intelligence that Otom has and was given out, which I know the NSA then had it, but refused to work on it, that is the result of what we have today. Because if they had worked on that initially, they would have been able to scale down the operations of these bandits from the start and would have never had these issues today. What started like a small child's play has now become a snowball into something bigger than an atomic bomb. Because every day Nigerians are dying, every day they are kidnapped, and you can imagine that someone pick you from your comfort zone and then keeps you inside the chains in the forest, and you are sleeping at the mercy of reptiles and rapists and whatever. And then you come out and then they pay money, and you come home, you're subject to go to hospital, and maybe you are damaged morally and then psychologically you are just gone. So it's a hard thing for Nigerians to swallow. So for a bandit to be dictating to government which name he wants, not how he will stop the banditry, but he's telling you that I don't want this name. If you don't come in this name, then I will stop it then. What of others? That was an individual giving this command. Yes. What are other bandits leaders?
Yes, sir. The reason why I want to continue on that note is because talking about governors shouting, we heard the Borno State Governor, Baba Gana Zulum, has also been part of the recent present governors that have been shouting on top of their voices that they need help. They are begging for help. And some other people are calling for self-defense. And if you look at it, Baba Gana Zulum made a statement recently, allegedly saying that some politicians, even traditional rulers, are informants to these terrorists. What would you make of that? And if you juxtapose that with the issue of dealing with sponsorship of this banditry and terrorism, because if you look at the weapons they have in their coffers, people are behind the funding. So, like you said, security reports. How do you think government can deal with this from that perspective? Nobody has done anything about the statement made by this the governor of Borno, if he has intel on these sponsors or these informants that he talked about.
Yes, if you look at what the governor of Borno State has been doing, he has been very hard on the bandits in the state and then Boko Haram also. He has shown wisdom and capacity that he didn't want this to go on. But just as you said, there are people who also have criminal intentions of ensuring that this thing doesn't go. It is an economic war that people are using this to now fight. Because you kidnap one person and then you are paid 300 million, 500 million naira. Now, if that is the case, people who are kidnapping has information of those who are moving. Because it's very rare for people just to jump on the road and kidnap. Occasionally, yes, it happens. But most of kidnappings in the north are targeted kidnappings. And the communities where these people take them to, the communities know that they have brought a stranger within them. But it is very rare for people to now come and volunteer information. One, for the fear of either being exposed when they give out this information, or two, they are part of the process. If government at the federal, as I said earlier, is willing to stop these things, is to expose those who are behind these things. Now, NSA is working hard with the DSS. I will tell you that if you are able to look at what DSS used to put together and advise government on what to do, it would have been marveled. But unfortunately, those who are supposed to implement what DSS used to bring out fail to do these things. DSS is a very small organization, but they are very effective. The NIA, the National Security Advisor, has an issue. The issue is he is a police officer, retired, and those who are supposed to be reporting to him, most of them are military personnel. If you watch, the escalation of this started when he was pronounced the NSA. Most of them were not happy that they can't be answerable to a policeman. But if you are not answerable to a policeman who is also trained and well-trained, someone like Ribado, who is well-trained and well-knowledgeable to handle the security issues, then you are no longer looking at the safety of the nation. You are looking at your personal pride now. And that is where intelligence can be there, but consumption is difficult. If consumption is difficult, then implementation is the most hardest thing to do. And that is why you will discover that most people who are supposed to be on the field are complacent. That's just the fact about this.
But sir, we are in a democratic system of government.
Yeah.
Is there a portion in our constitution that states that the national security advisor must be an S?
No, it is not. These are the arrogant things that I feel the president should be able to curb. Because when you are not given direct instructions and direct orders, you are not hard on those who give authority to. Because administration should practice the carrot and stick approach. I give you this assignment, you don't do it, and I'll take it away from you. And we have never seen that happen over the years. And until people are punished for not doing what they are supposed to do, we may continue to have this kind of internal wranglings that, okay, this service is superior to this service. We should be looking at ourselves as people who are wearing the uniforms, different colors, but the same uniform, to not serve the nation in particular capacity. Not all of us should be policemen. Not all of us should be DSS. Not all of us should be army. But we must be able to have a synergy to now ensure that we have taken an oath of office to defend the territorial integrity of this country and then the internal security of the country. But where these divinations are not done the way it should be done, then we keep fighting ourselves like this. Now, if you go back to what Governor of Borno State has been saying, is all over the nation, even in Benue, you still have people who connive with Fulanis to kill. They get information, pass it across the Fulanis to come and attack. And then they also even lead these attacks. Now, in Benue, you have in Zone A, which is where the killings takes place more, from Zakivan to Kwande, my local government. And then you have in Zone B, where you have it in, where you have Yelewata now, Naka, and then where is then in Otukpo, where you have the Zone C. So the entire spectrum of Benue is covered by these killings. But in everywhere you go, you will be hearing stories that some children who are own boys are conniving with the bandits or with the Fulanis to lead these attacks because they pay them handsomely. So what happens is issue of poverty. So these are the areas that governors should also work on, that poverty is influencing the cross-boundary attacks that our people are leading others to come in and then attack and go back. How much are they paid? 100,000, 200,000. These are the information that we receive. So if you are able to have a robust economy where we are engaged, I don't think someone want to go and carry guns and go into the bush to start killing.
So talking about connivance, you know, weeks back, the Minister of Defense or the Chief of Defense Staff also made such statement like foreign headers are behind the attacks in some of the parts of the country.
Yeah.
Do you also subscribe?
Yes, that one is not just allegations, it's a fact. It's a fact because if you look at what happened under Buhari government, there was a time they said there should be visa on arrival for all African citizens who are coming to Nigeria. It was a deliberate policy that was made by government to allow Fulanis all over Africa to come into Nigeria. Now, the present governor of Bauchi State has never hidden his love for this. He said that Nigeria was given to Fulanis by Osman Dan Fodio. He's quoted on tapes all over. It's not a hidden statement. If you ask him tomorrow, he'll say, affirm to that. And the Fulanis have the right to settle anywhere they want to, which are the commanding information that is given to Fulanis who came from overseas to now stay any part of Benue, any part of Nigeria. And by going there, they know they don't have a land around this place. So what they can do is now to introduce this terror so that people can bucket and then they take over. And that is why today you have people who kill and remain permanently in those locations. Now, if you want peace, you must go back to review this arrangement, this architecture, those who are settling, where did they come from? And then you take the statistics of all the Fulanis who are settling in your state, and they identify those who are foreigners among them, and those who are Nigerian. These ones that are foreigners, we expatriate them to go back. It was a shame for me to see that a national identity card number of a Nigerian is now given to any African citizen that comes into Nigeria. How can you run a nation like that? But that was what we had in the last regime. So if we are sincere with ourselves, it's better for national identity also to now stop all these people having access to this kind of information. They should now block them from using these numbers and then arrest those who they know that were not Nigerian but were given these numbers, so that this is the only way you can safeguard the future of this country. But where you don't do these things, then we'll continue this way.
We can go on and on talking about insecurity, but we need to start rounding up. So, sir, what do you think is the way forward in the fight against insecurity? in Nigeria?
Well, the way forward is one, for government to be very sincere about it, and two, for government to implement the laws that punish those who sponsor these things. People sponsor them, and government knows them. And then the next one is that if you have SIM registration, why has it been impossible for us to track those who make these phone calls and arrest them? Because after these attacks, we will see videos all over the places, or the Fulanis also displaying what they have done, and who they captured and what they are doing. And these are things that you can do a geolocation and know where they are. So why have we been unable to locate these things? Because the wisdom is not there. So government should be able to punish people who are saddled with responsibilities to do these things, but fail to do it. If you don't do your work, then you should be sacked. If you are sacked, the next person taking over will know that my boss was sacked because he didn't do the work. So the next person should be able to sit up and do his job better. So checks and balance in governance should be what can make us to sit up and do our work the way it should be done. And that's the only way we can save Nigeria from anarchy that we are facing tomorrow.
Okay, so that was a very good point to anchor it. In the last some minutes, close to an hour thereabout, if I'm correct, I can see signals from my director telling us to wind up. We've been, discussing issues of security in Nigeria, particularly the recent killings in Benue and some other parts of the country. And we've had CSP Dr. James Vadefan, who is retired Chief Superintendent of Police, a security expert. And we also have in his CV that he has a foundation, an NGO, which we might not be able to talk about today. I know he's also tailored around how to solving the security challenges in Nigeria, because I can see you are retired but not tired.
Yeah.
And, so we want to sincerely thank you for finding time, irrespective of your busy schedule, to come to the studio and discuss the issues of insecurity affecting, bedeviling our nation, Nigeria, today. And we hope as time goes on, some other time we'll be able to invite you again, to take a look at, crime in Nigeria, because we've just talked about banditry, kidnappings, and terrorism. We also have issues of financial crime, illicit financial crime, drug law, and all of that we'll be able to, invite you some other times to, to look at from another perspective. We want to sincerely thank you for finding time to be with us on the program today. And there you have it.
Thank you for having me.
We've been with an expert in the house who has joined us to look at the spate of insecurity in Nigeria, talking about Dr. James Vadefan, who is a retired CSP, Chief Superintendent of Police. So, and this is where we're going to anchor the program today. And please remember to follow us on all our social media handles at Third Eye Africa TV across all platforms. And be rest assured that we'll always be here to give you updates on security issues as relating to peace and security in our nation, Nigeria. That is why we are here for you at Third Eye Africa TV. And from me, Charles Agedu, I am saying you should join us same time, same station next week. And from my colleague,
My name is Margaret Adewale. Join us same time for another interesting package of Crime Watch.
bye for now.